Design innovation continues in the world of pipes. What's great about Fordite is not just the color, but the options you have in how to show all that color. It's a material that changes its look based on how it's cut. When the material is collected, you can see the thousands of paint layers it has inside. Here is a basic and beautiful example of a cut highlighting those layers. With this tamper I'm holding, the Fordite received a long cut that exposed these long half-circle-like patterns. That pattern, laid down on a tamper in this upward direction from the bottom going up, is showing us Fordite in a new view. The material has been composed very well in the long tower-like volume of a tamper shape. The morta, or bog oak, is actually 90% of the material in this tamper. We just have a small sliver of Fordite taking up 10% of the space, but because it's been cut and placed so strategically, it has a bigger and smarter visual impact. The multiple colors within the Fordite material, specifically the black layers, allow it to merge well with the morta. Two materials become one much more easier. This is a new take on a billiard, a much more modern version. She is doing some small and gentle things in her design, and those small amounts of movement are just enough to make her very different. The bowl is a lot leaner than normal. There's much less weight at her base. She is thinner. The more common interpretation has a very wide, stout platform to sit on. This platform on this pipe is much thinner, and the approach allows for sharper, leaner lines. The entire bowl is actually following an oval design inside. The interior oval design is guiding all of these outside lines. Especially as you look at those cuts in the bottom of the bowl, a lot of briar has been taken off. The pipe compensates well to this adjustment though, and she stretches out all those lines properly. A small adjustment with a loud result. She actually looks like she's wearing a sleek, modern, well-cut business suit. And the horn at the end completes her supermodel type looks. Very precise and beautiful work. This is a very small pipe. We don't see small pipes that often, likely because it's harder to work in an area where space is at a premium. There's less room to make mistakes, and the work is a lot more tedious. This pipe is working the small space very well. She expands into her highly oval bowl very gracefully. Mark clearly has a natural eye to the simple, gentle line. The blast is perfect for this pipe, not saying too much but saying just enough, just like the whole pipe seems to be speaking. It's one of the best dressed guys in the room, but not bragging about it. The red and black Cumberland offsets beautifully to the black stain on the bowl, and her back line is gorgeous. Quite obviously, it's slightly longer with the oval bowl, and it's showing us a perfect version of how that line should look. Mark has taken this unique shape and brought it into high-grade artisan land, and it is above and beyond gorgeous. I am really enjoying the small work area that Ping's pipes are starting to really focus on and work within. He's been slowly taking off more and more briar, and he starts the shaping process with much less briar volume. It's actually an insight into how he thinks and how he sees the world and how he approaches work in general. He probably has small handwriting. This is where he is extending his version of how he sees the art, and it's nice to see. You can see the idea more easily in some of his blowfish, a lot of thin areas all over these pipes. He's getting very used to working with his hands in these smaller, tighter spaces. Now he's going after a large shape and compacting her down, making her smaller is now his new next step. All that slenderness you see and feel is actually only a few inches long. So why does it work so well being so small? Because it's proportionately still correct, up to the point where we couldn't even tell how big this pipe actually is without measurements. It's all about applying the right proportions, and that process gets more difficult the smaller you make a pipe. Not an easy thing to do, it's rare to see, especially with certain shapes, and when we do see it, it's very nice. This pipe highlights to me what high-end rustic elegance should look like. Usually you're either rustic or you're elegant. Rarely are you both. This guy has both. It has a nice warm gentle contrast stain on top of the blast. The red color feels modern, a sign of the times with the immense amount of color we are seeing placed in all parts of the pipe, not just in stains but in accent materials and stems. I also really enjoy how the shank is finished with such a hard 75-degree line in the back. It gives the shape a very confident stance even with the lighter visual weight in her tail. This pipe feels alive, as if it has a pulse to it. At center stage is the disfigured bamboo that he is working with and how he is looking for the natural way to extend the idea of the bamboo into the rest of the pipe. No matter which way you look at it, this is something not normally seen or done, and it's very different to look at. What we see though is a very solid way of expressing the main idea of this bamboo. This is what more normal bamboo applications look like. The piece from Kovalev sits on the opposite end of the spectrum. To start with the basics, this pipe is completely in sync from front to back. Her weight is balanced evenly on the back end and on the front end. And she actually even has a center, right there. The main design task though, and what I believe he achieved very well, was to take all of that really natural, heavily organic, primitive view in the bamboo and spread out that idea to the rest of the pipe. The only way to try and hide something like this strange bamboo is by surrounding it with the same ideas. The shape he chose for this hunk of bamboo was the horn shape, and there are only two strong lines coming out of the bamboo to shape the rest of the pipe. That is the only structure shaping the bowl. The rest of her sort of just falls into place in as natural a way as possible. When you get in close, you get a really good sense of the design extension going on here. The bamboo concept continues into the pipe. The transitions fit perfect. This pipe had to be blasted. There was really no other choice. There is no other way to visually connect this gnarly piece of bamboo to the briar. The bamboo was so funky and dark, the briar had to be blasted. There has been a trend in the past decade towards this discolored bamboo, but the piece has still always had major structure to it. This piece of bamboo from Kovalev is living off nature alone, and she's pushing out the borders where bamboo can live and be acceptable. The plastic polymer and stone, when you look at it by itself, it's chaotic, yellow with dark red highlights. It's actually the most chaotic element on this pipe, more crazy than the bamboo. Yet it finds a way to stand back and just give a nice spotlight to the entire shank area. For those of us who can appreciate what abstract ideas could look like, knowing they too have design rules to follow and where that whole process needs to start so it's done properly, well, this is a unique beauty. She definitely has a whole lot of deep, very natural philosophy running through her. This is a very small, very thin, very compact pipe. When it comes to tolerances at the small level, when we talk about proportionally compacting down a pipe design that's big into something small and doing it well, the results can be spectacular. You get to see all that fantastic movement you like in larger pipes in small scale. Everything compresses down. Your entire vision and perspective drops down a few notches. You think to yourself, how can someone even work in this small environment? This feels like the smallest pipe of the bunch, even though it isn't. It's just so thin. Her pipes are already very thin. At this size, it's just a more delicate, magnificent hefto expression of her awesome art. So beyond Tobacco Days always searching the market for anything new to bring to you, I myself am obviously clearly moving to small pipes now. I simply saw myself not smoking the larger ones as much as I used to, so this is my personal new direction towards smaller pipes. Regarding pipe design today in general, if we made a graph for innovation in pipes, that line would still be going up as it has been for the past many years, and it's great to see. There is so much fantastic new design out there, and pipe collectors have so many great choices to pick from.